Hello, beautiful metalhead. Welcome to Backstage Monday. Hello, this is Melissa from Infinitum. Today we are going to explore track by track the stories of Chapter 1 Monarchy and Chapter 1 Revisited. When I was a kid, at school I learned about French history and the kings and queens and the revolution, and this is something that interested me a lot. And afterwards, I've learned more about it through documentaries or readings, podcasts, series, movies, and this is something that really interested me and still interests me today. One character in particular fascinates me, and this is Louis XIV, King of France. He was born in 1643 and died in 1715. And I believe his reign has been the longest in European history with a little bit more than 72 years. Besides his desire to expand his territory, he also wanted France to be a powerful and modern country, and he wanted it to be, the sun. People called him Louis the Great or the Sun King. He had a taste for beauty, for art, and I think this is something that always made me dream about this period. But what I wanted also to reflect in the lyrics of this album was the other side of the story, not the once upon a time in the beautiful palace there was a king, but also once upon a time there were people who were struggling to put food on the table. Now, unfortunately, I will not be able to tell you everything about the life of Louis XIV because there's so much to say, but I will take some small portions that I used for the lyrics. One thing that I tried to do through the lyrics is to take, the pieces of what I learned and what I saw in movies and in series, and try to understand not only what happened through history, but also how the people felt, because I like to paint a picture that is a little bit more personal, and I didn't want the lyrics to feel like opening a book of history. I also wanted it to be a little bit more abstract, so you can also relate to the lyrics and maybe go a little bit deeper and not just state the facts, but also try to wear the boots of the people who were there at that time and try to understand how they feel. And this is how I like to do it. The first song, Infected Monarchy, reflects this. It's really about people saying, Disney tells you that once upon a time there was a beautiful princess in a beautiful castle and everything was fine, but our story started very differently, with struggles and fights and trying to survive. Marching on Versailles is the story of the soldiers who were also, when not at war, the builders of Versailles. And this is, it was very common that they would just come back from war and then that Louis would say, hey, thank you for fighting, go back to work now, I want my palace to be ready very soon. And, they were coming back from war, and some were wounded, some were sick, some were trying to feed their families. And marching on Versailles is basically them saying, I don't think I'm happy about this. I don't think I'm happy either. Should we address the matter? And this is them going to the door of the king and say, dude, this is not okay. We're not okay. And trying to fight for their rights. Maleficent. Maleficent is something a little bit more abstract. It's about taking control over the voice inside your head telling you that you cannot do this, that you're not able to do that. Fighting this and taking control of yourself, becoming the best version of yourself, and throwing away your fears and the barriers preventing you from doing something that you want to do. See You in Hell has been inspired by the affair of poisons going on in Versailles during the reign of Louis. There was a lot of poisoning going on. That was simply the best way to get rid of someone without making too much noise and leaving too much blood on the floor. There was a lot of that at some point, and they had to investigate and to find the source of the poison. And I wanted to tell about this, but I wanted to make it a little bit more, to romance it a bit. And this is basically the story of a woman who decides to poison her lover, who's been a very bad guy. I Am the Storm is I would say a song of empowerment, whether you have to be the king of France or the king of your life. It's about being the best version of yourself and not letting people bring you down and throw arrows at you, and just, you know, being self-confident and going for it. Fire and Ice, this is the love story of the album. You know, Louis was married for many years to Maria Theresa of Spain, and then he married one of his mistresses after Maria Theresa died. And, you know, during all these years, he had many mistresses as well. And Fire and Ice is the story of one of them telling him, choose me, I can make you happy. However, after giving it a second thought, this is not the way it should be. Live before you die. This is basically a question. How do you want to spend this one time on earth? And I imagined, you know, you are the king of France. You've been raised to be the king of France, and you've been told how to behave, how to address people, what to do, what to learn, and how you will one day rule a country without really the choice of doing like whatever you want to do and whatever you want your destiny to be. So this is basically asking yourself the question, what do you really want to do? And what if Louis wanted to be a traveler or a painter, or even better, a singer? Revenge is about staying strong even when everything is against you, when you're feeling pain and anger, and when somebody's throwing something at you with bad intentions, not using the easy way of searching for revenge, but, you know, taking the time to think, do I really want to go down that road, or do I want to react with more intelligence? The song Demons, I imagined it as a dark letter between Philip, the brother of Louis, and Louis himself. Philip was raised to be the brother of the king and never try to have more power than his brother, to serve his brother. So at some point, he didn't really have a brother anymore, he had a king. And I try to imagine the frustration. You know, Philip was raised with less freedom and less power, and to be always this guy who will, no matter what, learn how to support his brother and how to replace him if something bad happens to him, but to never expect to do it. And I can imagine that as a brother, not being able to be the first person who knows what's happening in the life of your own brother, and having your freedom restricted for the crown, and having the frustration of maybe, you know, having to obey to your own brother and not always understanding his decisions, could affect their relationship. And this is a letter from Philip to Louis saying, I know that this crown is heavy on your head, but you're pissing me off. Tell me why is I would call it like a compliment of Demons. It's a peaceful dialogue saying basically, let me understand your pain, let me understand why you're so sad and what bothers you and what hurts you, and let me help you. That's it. I hope that you learned a little piece of history today with me. I wish you a very nice week, and I see you soon.